In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Epic Story tool by going through the thinking process that we'd use here at ScrumDo for building a mobile ScrumDo application. To start off, to get into the Epics tool, you go to your project page, like I'm here, and you click on your Epics link on the right. This will bring you to the Epic tool. An Epic is a way of doing long-term, coarse-grained planning. We use them when we don't want to go through the process of specifying and sizing at the story level. And I'm going to go ahead and start off by creating an Epic. I click the Add Epic link, and I type in the summary that I want to use. I'm going to leave the detail blank for now, and I'm going to guess that to create our mobile application, it's going to be about 300 points of work. Now this is just a really coarse estimate at this point. It's not meant to be something that we hold the team accountable to. And I'm going to go ahead and save my Epic. And now here it is, sitting in my Epics list. I know that there's two big categories of work under that we're going to want to do. One is creating an iOS application for iPhone and iPad users, and one is creating an Android application for Android phone and tablet users. So I'm going to go ahead and create two epics to represent those two. But I want those to be all part of this one epic, so I'm going to use this Add Epic link here, which will create them as children within this epic. Now I had sized the original epic as about 300 points. I'm going to size each of these as 100 points. And the reason I'm doing that is because I think there's going to be some shared work between the two. There's going to be some work for designing an interface and for creating some back-end services and for that sort of stuff. And I don't want to include that in the work for a specific application. I'll have a more general category for that. And I'll do the same for the Android application. So now what this is saying is that I have one large epic here for about 300 points for creating the mobile application. And then under that I have the two sub-epics for creating the two individual applications that I'll need. Now you notice if I add these up, there's 300, 400, 500 total points. We're not going to have 500 points added to our project. These two 100-point epics are really part of this 300 points. So we're only adding 300 points to our total. This was a great way of us doing some really long-term planning. Let's say we're not planning on getting this work for months and months, and we want our burn-up charts for our project to account for all the work that we know that's coming up, but we don't want to actually go into the detail of specifying and sizing all those individual stories. So this would be great to leave it just like this. But let's say that we get a few months from now, and we're actually ready to start working on some of the Android app. At this point, we're going to want to create some actual stories that teams can work on. And to do that, we're going to click the Add Story button. And I'm going to go ahead and create some stories there. Now, clearly these 4 stories are not enough to make an Android application, but for the purposes of this video, let's just pretend it is. So now we have our 4 stories that are all sitting here ready to be sized by the team in our next sizing meeting. We can use planning poker or whatever method that we use to actually size those. Now, once they've been sized, we have a much better idea of what the total amount of work is. Here, we just have 51 points of work. So we don't need this 100 point here anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and just remove that estimate. One feature that we have in the Epics tool are these 3 buttons up here. They change the amount of information shown on the screen at one time. If I had a lot of epics on my screen, this might go on for pages and pages worth. So if I click the medium button here, it collapses the stories down to a much more manageable size. And then maybe I want to see even less information, so I can click this button, which will hide the stories entirely so I can see just the epics. I'm going to go back to the middle view for a second to show another feature of the Epics tool. I can grab onto any of these stories and drag them up or down to rank them, or I can drag them into other epics if I had made a mistake in categorizing them originally. So that's the ScrumDo Epics tool in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please visit our support site at support.scrumdo.com.